Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at another pair of gloves. The last one was a pair of gloves too, but this one is called the Fists of Fate. And the special flavor text on this one is, will you let fear cheat you, or will you risk everything to find understanding? After all, death is simply the coin with which we purchase life. Zerk. So this particular piece of equipment seems to be based around the general idea of random chance deciding your fate within encounters. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, the abilities of this item are basically all lucky hit abilities. It has a lucky hit up to a 5% chance to heal for 446 life. Lucky hit up to a 5% chance to restore 13% primary resource. Lucky hit up to a 12.3% chance to immobilize. Lucky hit up to an 11.1% chance to daze. And all of this is variable. So you can get a 603 maxed out on the health. You can get a 13% maxed out on the primary resource restore. You can get a 15.6% on the immobilize. You can get a 15.6% on the daze. And this is basically not even the end of it. So it also has a random legendary effect, which basically makes your attacks very similar to Diablo 2. So if you remember the Diablo 2 Lightning Sorceress has an ability that can do like 20,000 damage, right? But it also can do 1. So like, you can either hit, like, literally Thor himself come down from the Ettendorf, or you hit, like, a little tiny 9-volt battery that barely does any damage, right? Well, basically, what this ability does is your attacks will randomly deal 1% to 230% of their normal damage, which means that somewhere in that spectrum is where you're going to fall, and it goes up to 300%, which is pretty massive, right? But if you deal 1%, well, that's basically nothing, and if you deal 300%, that's amazing, and it's probably going to fall somewhere in between there. But it's essentially these gloves are basically all around random chance. Now, if you were a lucky hit character, if you were trying to build as much lucky hit as you possibly could, these could actually be really nice with all of the lucky hit effects. However, it's important to note that a lot of these lucky hit effects are actually pretty low in their percentages, which means that they're probably very rarely going to go off. And to demonstrate that, I can bring up a calculator and show you how this works. So let's take the 5% lucky hit chance right here on the heal, because that heal actually is pretty nice. And let's take our main ability, which is Bone Spear, which is a 50% lucky hit chance. So that would be 0.5 times the lucky hit on this, which is a 5% chance, which is going to be times 0.05, which is going to give us a lucky hit chance of, I believe it's 2.5%, which is pretty terrible. 2.5% lucky hit chance is pretty garbage. Now, you can enhance that if you have lucky hit bonuses. Like, for instance, I don't have any bonus. But let's say, for instance, you did have a bonus, just for the sake of argument. Let's say you were running 20% lucky hit enhancement. Then what you would do is you multiply that by 1 point, whatever your lucky hit chance is. So if you got a 20%, then that would be 20. So we're going to multiply that, and that gives us a 3% chance total. Which isn't really the greatest as far as like lucky hit abilities. But granted, you've got a 3% chance, a 3% chance, the 12.3 and the 11.1, that would be more like a 5 or 6% chance. So you've got like a 3-3, 6-6 of doing a whole bunch of random things. And then your damage is random too, which is kind of crazy. Like, it changes the way that your damage output works to the point where literally you're just dishing out random damage all the time, which is kind of silly. I mean, I guess technically in the long run, the law of averages would probably end up winning in your favor, because 300% is a very large amount of damage increase. So when you do get the 300%, it would definitely give you a rather large damage bump. But at the same time, do you really want to leave things to fate? And that's really the whole entire flavor text of this item. Is, will you let fear cheat you, or will you risk everything to find understanding? After all, death is simply the coin with which we purchase life. And of course, they're even called the Fists of Fate. So if you're running specifically a lucky hit build, and you have like an insanely large amount of lucky hit bonuses, these might be the gloves for you. Because, to be honest, all those lucky hit effects are things that you can definitely take advantage of. The main issue that I have with them is for an item that has lucky hit, it doesn't have any lucky hit bonus, which kind of pisses me off. I have another pair of gloves, which I just did a video on, by the way, and these are called the Howl from Below. And these also have some lucky hit effects on them. But they also come with a 10.6 lucky hit chance increase, which allows them to dish out some much better lucky hit percentages. Now, granted, that 10.6 doesn't add up to like a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but if you were to add on some lucky hit from your weapons and rings and various things like that, before you know it, passives, you could probably end up with a pretty healthy amount of lucky hit. But Fists of Fate has no lucky hit on it, so you're going to have to get your lucky hit elsewhere in your build, which may make things a little bit different in the way you want to do things. Obviously, you can find these in the Ancestral form if you find these in Tier 4, and with all the rolls on this, good luck ever trying to find a perfect pair of these, because you're going to need to find 603 for the perfect on the health. You're going to have to find 13% for the perfect on the chance to restore primary resource, 15.6% on the chance to immobilize, and 15.6% on the daze. And then you're also going to have to find 300% on the legendary effect, or the unique effect, to get a perfect pair of these. It feels like Diablo 2 all over again, not even going to lie. This is like the kind of item that literally has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modifiers that roll, and the chances of ever finding a perfect version of these is next to impossible, because things like Gold Strike Arch Bow and various items like that have like multiple modifiers that all have to roll. Most of the time you just never end up finding a good pair. So even if you find like 10 or 20 of these, you might not still find one that's actually like optimal. And that's pretty much it. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and I hope you will join me for more of these unique item videos. I plan on doing as many as I can as I find more unique items, as I keep finding, and I may even, I usually like to have the item in my hands, because I like to test it out and play with it, but I also have a lot of kinship members who've been finding unique items, and we may start doing some videos on those unique items that they've been finding as well, because they've been sending me screenshots. So we'll look forward to those as well. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.